Welcome to The Life Unscripted. I'm your host, Rosabel Unscripted. I'm so glad you're here. In each episode, I'll be bringing you raw, real stories and deep conversations that cover everything from personal growth and wellness to real-life challenges. I'll be chatting with incredible guests who are making an impact in their communities and sharing insights that can help us all navigate life a little better. Whether you're looking for inspiration or just a dose of real talk, you're in the right place. So grab a seat, get comfortable, and let's dive into another episode of The Life Unscripted. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Life Unscripted podcast with Rosabel. I'm your host, Rosabel Unscripted. And today we have Trisha Sexton. Hello, Trisha. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Whew, I am glad you're here. So, well, as you know, probably, this is the podcast where we dive into real stories, transformation, resiliency, the power of choosing the life that we truly want to make, you name it. So, Trisha, why don't we begin by, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. I know a little bit about you. I know you're a retreat host, you're a life and fitness coach, breathwork facilitator, which I love breathwork, by the way. And then you also design need transformational retreats for, something about intentional movement. Is that correct? Am I correct? Am I going the right direction?
You're very much in the right direction.
Emotional healing, immersive travel. Seems like you do have a lot of experience, 15 years traveling internationally. You help guide individuals through different experiences to reconnect with their bodies and so on. So why don't you tell us what is Trisha all about? Tell us a little bit more.
Oh, what am I all about? Well, yeah, you said a lot of it. I'm a life and fitness coach. That's kind of where I started out. And now I host retreats where I kind of combine the life coaching with healing and movement and adventure, nature-based experiences. And then I'm technically not a breathwork facilitator yet, but I'm almost done with my course, so I'm owning that title. So breathwork will soon be incorporated into what I do. I live in Salt Lake City, so I'll be incorporating it into what I do here and then in the retreats that I host all over the world.
So you're telling me that there is more to breathwork? There's more than just breathing in the square, square breathing.
There's a little more to it than that. That's a great one, though.
I've been doing that when I'm going to work.
Yeah.
And yeah, is the one who told me about that, by the way. I was like, what do I do? I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling that way. I can. So she said, we should try some square breathing in the square or something. And it's like, what is that? And so something about you take a deep breath, like through your nose for 4 minutes. Then you hold it for 4 minutes. Then you let it out through your mouth slowly for 4 minutes. No. 4 minutes, no. 4, you count to 4.
4 seconds.
Oh my God, I am so sorry. This is why this is called unscripted, because... Okay. All right. Let's get a little serious for real. Trisha, you have shared that in grade school... Okay. Grade school and high school, right? You were bullied so badly that you even contemplated suicide. Mm-hmm. Can you paint a picture? What was that like? And take us there and see. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I switched schools when I was going into 3rd grade, and I don't really know why that's when the bullying started, but that's when the other girls just started being nasty towards me. And it was, like little things, but it was like a lot of little things, like just like my last name's Sexton, so they would make fun of my last name because it has the word sex in it, as immature little kids.
Wow.
And yeah, just like kind of talk behind my back, spread little rumors. And that kind of stuff still sticks with me. I still talk about it in therapy. And then I went into high school and um, I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about this part. So I was sexually assaulted in my freshman year of high school, and people in my high school didn't know exactly what happened, but they knew like some sex or something around sex was involved. Um, so from there came the rumors that like I'm a slut and I have STDs, and people would like whisper as I passed them in the hallway that, you know, I'm dirty, and then people that I even thought were my friends were saying awful things to me and like telling me I
Wow.
should kill myself and leaving notes in my lockers with like just mean and nasty things. Um, it like reflecting right now, just saying all that, I'm surprised that I'm still alive here today. Um, I honestly
Well, you have a
wouldn't,
reason to be here. Yeah.
right, and I honestly wouldn't change any of it now, you know, because it's like made me the person that I am today.
That's exactly right. And you were just a teenager, right? You were like what? How old were you?
Like 13, 14.
I went through a similar experience with that. And I'm only saying this because remember how you say that you still bring that up. Those are things that unfortunately we might heal and we might not feel the same pain perhaps if we felt that, but those memories, we can. I had a similar situation when I was in how do you say, seventh grade. My mom had to actually literally, let me tell you real quick. So there was this girl, so again, like you, out of nowhere. She just, you don't even know why. What's the reason behind that somebody decides to pick on you, right? Because there's no, when you think about it, it's no apparent reason. You haven't done anything to this person. Somehow this girl dragged me by my hair out of nowhere, and she literally pinned me again. So it's like a balcony. She almost threw me out of the balcony. And that's the only thing I remember. I don't remember the rest. I don't know if at the time I call, I just know that I almost, by my mother, actually, immediately all I know is I never went back to that school. That's how bad it was. But the memory still sits there. And then later on, when I was, grew up, I had somebody, so again, so all this to say, yeah, unfortunately, those memories just never leave you, right? And then you wonder like why it happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, but anyway, so you evidently you in luckily you overcame, right? That's a good thing. Can you tell us how that shaped your sense of self-worth and confidence at the time?
At the time, I had like zero self-worth, super low confidence, um, really, really low self-esteem. I just didn't like myself. Um, and I think looking back, like that was the lowest point I in high school was the lowest point that I had ever been.
And that's when you perhaps to, which unfortunately, many of us or some of us, some perhaps listeners can find themselves in the same situation where they turn to other things like drugs, alcohol to numb the pain. Is that correct? Perhaps toxic relationships,
Oh
any
yeah,
other mechanism. Yeah.
yeah, all
And
of it.
so, what made you decide to finally like get out of that cycle? What was the change?
I would say there's kind of like an evolution of healing, I guess. And the first thing that I experienced that kind of, well, I guess there was kind of two that happened at the same time. I experienced, or I got more involved in my fitness. And my mom actually forced me to go. She was going to a personal trainer, so she kind of like forced me to go as well against my will. But in hindsight, thank you, mom. um, because
Yes.
after I was working out in the gym and lifting weights, I started to feel stronger physically for sure, but it also just gave me like a little bit more confidence and I felt a little bit more empowered. And I feel like that kind of helped me get out of like the hole enough that I could like start exploring more and opening myself up to just like living life a little differently. And from right after I graduated college, I started traveling, and that really changed my life. It was like a whole perspective shift of like, I got to see this immense kind of poverty when I lived in Tanzania for about a year in East Africa. And it's just a completely different kind of poverty. It's people living in mud huts with like straw roofs, a tin roof if you're lucky, multiple generations living in one room. And when I got to meet these people and get to know them, I found out that they're just like happy and content with what they have. As long as they have their family and their health, they were happy. And I was like, what? What is this? I
Yes.
haven't seen
There
this
is another world
before.
out there, right?
Right.
Many other
And
worlds.
yeah, and it was very eye opening. And from there, it kind of led me to traveling and living in other countries for most of my 20s. And through those experiences of like seeing different cultures, getting different perspectives, but also being out of my comfort zone every day, it helped me to grow as a person and like become more like safe with myself, like trust myself more, um, be able to like believe that I can do hard things. It's not easy living in another country, as I'm sure you know.
Right, right.
And
Yeah, I know exactly what you say in many, many ways. I grew up in Colombia, South America, and yeah, I remember seeing so many things. In fact, so I came to live to in the U. I came to live here about 21, 22 years ago, something like that. And it was great. I came here and then I get to go back like 4 years later. And wow, it's another world in so many, many, many ways. And perspective. You see other people, you see how they live, so many other things. So what other places have you been in the world, if you don't mind sharing?
yeah, I lived in Thailand, Tanzania, as I said, Nepal, Guatemala, and Costa Rica. So I lived for like extended periods of times in those places and then traveled around those places a lot.
Did you go travel for for breath work, any of that, or I mean for the um what got you into traveling?
um, what got me into traveling? Um,
Yes.
yeah, so I don't really know what got me into traveling. I did like a summer study abroad in Ireland when I was in college, and it was the first time that I had like been like done a trip, outside of like a family trip, and it was very empowering and fun and different and scary, but like in a good way. And I think from there, I was like, ooh, I caught the bug, and I just wanted to keep doing that. And so I just kind of like went on a 10-year journey around the world.
And now you're doing retreats, right? I mean, do
Yeah.
you facilitate the retreats?
Yeah. So after I was traveling around the world and decided I wanted to move back to the US, I lived in Hawaii for a few years. And there, I think I had the most growth. If anyone's ever been to Hawaii, they'll know that there's like a very strong energy there, and it kind of pulls out all the shit, whether you want it to or not. And it it was bringing a lot of the stuff that I hadn't worked through to the surface, and it was really rough for a while. But I got hooked up with a life coach, Tiare Thomas Harris. Shout out, she changed my life. She helped me heal from the sexual trauma that I've been holding on to for like 15 years. She helped me work on issues that I have with my mom and with friendship kind of relationships. And it I was able to get kind of more clear on like the kind of life that I wanted, the kind of person I wanted to be, the kind of people I wanted in my life. And through kind of going through her work, she does vision boarding or dream boarding as well, which is, she kind of has her own method to it. So between her life coaching and then this dream board program, it was like, I don't know, I was a whole different person in a good way. And then from there, I was like, oh, I want to learn about this kind of stuff so that I can teach it to people and help people the way that I've been helped. So I got certified as a life coach, and I had been doing personal training and fitness coaching. And then I love traveling, so I kind of just like combined it all into hosting retreats, and it's been super fun. And I've been able to like really help people on a different level, I think. And now I'm going to be adding breath work in, and I think that's going to be a whole different ballgame.
That's awesome. Can you walk us through what it's like? What is a typical retreat experience looks like?
Well, it depends on the retreat. So I have kind of like two different kinds of retreats, I would say. I have more like outdoor adventure type of retreat. So for example, in this October, I'm going to be trekking Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. And I'm going to kind of like weave in retreat aspects. So we'll be going through the trek. It's 7 days or 7 nights, 8 days on the mountain. And every day we're going to be doing breath work and meditation and reflection and just kind of like cultivating this like kind of bonding friendship, and at the same time like helping each other get through this mountain that's not going to be easy. So it's going to be like multiple different growth experiences happening physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And then there's also some cultural aspects. So we're going to be learning Swahili, which is the national language. The guides are going to tell us like about the culture there, and we're gonna be with Tanzanians the whole time, so we're gonna be able to learn more about their culture and them. So that's kind of like one kind of retreat, and then the other kind of retreat is more, I guess, what you would think of as a retreat. So, like for example, we're going to Guatemala in January next year, and we're going to Lake Atitlán, and we're going to be doing traditional Mayan ceremonies, the Temazcal and fire ceremonies. We're going to be doing yoga every day, breathwork, meditation. We're going to be doing hiking and kayaking on the lake, in and around the lake, into waterfalls. And then we're doing a cultural tour, and there's always like the nature aspect, the healing aspect, the community aspect, the cultural aspect, and it kind of just depends where I'm doing it. That kind of shapes how I'm going to combine all of those.
Very good. I feel jealous. I feel like I want to go. I want to
go. You can come.
So we'll see. You teach techniques like, what is it called? Emotional freedom technique?
Yeah, EFT, or it's often known as tapping. Um, where they,
Oh, okay. So that's tapping. Is that the tapping?
hmm
Is that the
yeah.
one you're talking about? Okay.
hmm
And for listeners who never tried that, can you explain a little bit what is it about?
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
is,
how do these techniques help the process of healing, especially trauma?
hmm yeah, so this is like one of my favorite techniques I've learned I learned it from my life coach, of course. So what it is you're tapping certain meridians on your body, and what it's doing is kind of helping your body to process the trauma or whatever's coming up in that moment, and it's processing it so then you can release it out of the body so it doesn't get like stuck and stored in there. um, and what you do is as you tap certain meridians, you kind of hit like the side of your hand, top of your head, various places on your face, your collarbone. And as you're going through all of that, you're bringing up a specific memory or feeling or limiting belief. And then you're kind of allowing yourself to think the worst. Like, what is kind of the worst that can happen in this memory or this feeling? Like, just kind of like putting it all on the table pretty much. Um, and then you let it out. And you do that as many times as you need to as you're tapping, until you feel like it's at like a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10.
So I can do that at work?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
like if I'm stressed out at work, I'd be like, I mean, I don't even have to think about it. All I gotta do is like be there and like just being there and just like,
Yeah, just like I'm stressed at work. I'm stressed at work.
oh,
Like
okay.
work sucks. This sucks. Like whatever
Uh,
it is.
oh my gosh. But that's
Yeah.
good though. That is good. That is good that you can have, because that's, I think what happens is a lot of us, we all experience stress, right? And we all go through, my goodness, all kinds of whatever it is that goes on, whether different levels of trauma, daily life, right? Stress.
hmm
And a lot of times we feel like there's no outlet or there's no way unless, because a lot of us, like me, say, well, I wish I could leave early so I could go for a run. I wish I could do this because we don't think that there is something we can do right then to kind of help ourselves. We're like, well, later when I get through this, you know. So it's always good to have a little something, you know, to do,
hmm
because
Yeah.
then something happens and you get busy and that's how you pile and pile and pile things on top. And then yeah. And I like to work through things as they happen because that way I just like done with and move on.
hmm Yeah. I feel
So
like
yeah, that's
when you're like in the moment of like the stress or the anxiety or whatever, like I forget about all my tools. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get out of this feeling. So
yes.
that's also a hurdle, like reminding yourself, oh yeah, there's tools I have for this.
Yes. So something, this is the silliest thing, but something I've done because sometimes, for example, like I'm driving to work or back from work and I'm like, I feel like my mind is blank in a sense because there's so much emotional, so much going on, and I can't remind myself. And luckily, thankfully, lately we have AI, right? So I'm like, hey, let me ask this lady. Hey, so she said, it's like a my voice assistant. She goes like, what's going on? What's in your mind? And I'm like, well, this is going on. And then I'm like, remind me again, what is it that I can do to? And then that's when she goes like, well, you can try box breathing. Back again. Now I got it. It's for count to 4, not 4 minutes, people. You'll be dead. Right.
Right.
One. And so that helped me one morning. I was like, oh, okay. All right. Can you walk me through this? So it's always fun. All to say, it's always fun. That's why we need someone. That's why guides are important, coaches are important, because they see the things that we cannot see, you know?
hmm
They're in the outside looking. So all that to say that, right?
Right.
So you also have a vision, right? I think you want to talk about perhaps bringing anti-bullying teaching education to schools. Is that something that you were thinking, or how is that?
Yeah, I do have this vision of doing talks at schools about bullying and just sharing my story and um, kind of like normalizing that conversation because it's such a big issue and there's kids that are going through it every day. And I think if you're able to see someone who went through it and is able to come out of it and talk about it, it can be really impactful because you don't feel so alone in it. Um, and then ideally helping schools like come up with programs around bullying or anti-bullying and like giving the kids there a safe space to talk to people about it and process it and help fix the problem. And I think this isn't just for the people that are being bullied, but also the people that are doing the bullying, because chances are they're being bullied or worse somewhere else at home. And that's why they're bringing it into school. So they need the help too. And I think if we can
Right. And they
kind of
have some
like,
kind of a trauma. They also have difficulties. You're right. And while you are saying that, well, I'm also thinking, bullying is also happening across social media and internet. And so, I mean, it's everywhere. It's at work. It's in our offices. It could be anywhere. And so, yes, education, and it's very, very, very important. So that's a great vision. Now, what is the core message that you want the audience or listeners to take with them today? Like, if nothing else, anything that perhaps will help transform a difficult moment or something, difficult patch that they might be going through.
mm. Well, there's one quote that I repeat to myself often that's really helped me, and it's rejection is protection. Um, I I feel like we can, we get rejected throughout the day or the week or the year, whether it's like a job interview or a relationship or a coworker, or even like family members. And I think that if you can look at it as like, okay, the universe is like protecting me from this person or this thing that's not meant for me, then you can like look at it more as a blessing. So I look at like all of the bullying that happened to me is, I mean,
Right.
it's not, I mean, it's not rejection per se, but it's kind of in that same realm. And it it's like able to help me flip my mind around it. So it's more of a blessing that that happened to me. And now I get to heal from it and then learn what works and then help other people and be able to empathize with other people and relate to other people who have gone through this and hopefully kind of be like part of the ripple effect to make the change. Um, and on a daily
Yeah.
basis.
And also, yeah, as we mature, as we grow, as we are, let's say, we heal from whether emotional trauma, our self-esteem grows. And once we feel a lot more secure in who we are, the things we do, we begin to understand that rejection is part of life, that because I think it has, if we understand how nature works, right? It's certain things go with certain things, and so that's a given. It's going to happen. And so we need to learn how to kind of learn, okay, that doesn't, just because I get a rejection here, that doesn't take away from my value, that doesn't take away from who I am, and those things. But that comes with, again, that internal work where you make yourself stronger from inside out.
Mhm.
And that's a message I also share here throughout. I've mentioned that before, that, for example, I have a book. I'm an author. Well, also, just like in my case, I'm a podcaster. I am very aware that the message, what we talk here, is not for everybody. Some people are going to love it. And some others going to be like, nah, I don't want to listen to that lady. And you know what? That's okay. And so being okay with things like that, because otherwise you don't suffer. Because imagine if we want to, not everybody's going to like us. And so good for those who do, and blessings, good, oh, yay, great. But for those who don't, we don't need to stop. We don't need to, we're just like, okay, go listen to, I don't know, Joe Rogan. I'm just kidding.
Right, exactly. There's plenty of other podcasts.
Nothing against Joe, by the way. You can invite me anytime, no problem.
There you go.
Exactly. So, what about, so you were mentioning all this exciting trips, retreats that you have coming up. Did you say something about Kilimanjaro in October? Did you say that one? Okay. And then you're talking about going to Guatemala in January and all that. Is there anything I have not asked you that you want to talk about, or pretty much touch on?
I think we got everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where our listeners can connect with you? Where can what can they find you? Website, all that.
Yeah, my Instagram is coach_Trisha_travels. And then my website is rootedretreatsandcoaching.com. So those are the best places.
Okay. That is awesome. And then, so Rooted Retreats and Coaching. So ROOTED Retreats and Coaching. So you spell AND coaching.com. Okay. And of course, follow you on Instagram. And I'm sure there are plenty of links in your website for the different social media platforms that you got in there. That's awesome. That is awesome. Wow. I just from the moment you started speaking, I was just like, I was traveling, That's why I was like, whoo.
Good. We love to travel, so.
Yes. In fact, I was going to ask you about, because I was kind of curious about Hawaii, right? You said that there's big, and I've never been to Hawaii, and it's energy. So I was wondering, do you think it's because of nature and perhaps the culture that people are perhaps maybe closer to each other and they have simpler way of life? Do you think that has something to do with it, or I don't know? I'm just wondering.
I definitely think it's the nature that's out there. I think it's very unique, and I wouldn't say it's like the current culture, but like the past culture and
the ancient. Oh, okay, right. What have been learned through generations and things like that. Oh, yeah, because currently, my goodness, things are changing everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Everywhere. You are right. 2 years ago, I went back to Colombia after not being there in 10 years. I visited my hometown. I kid you not, I could almost not. There are certain areas that I could not recognize. I was like, where am I? I couldn't even find my aunt's house. I was like, this used to be a place that I will go there and I will be like, hey, where does so-and-so live? And they'll be like, right there. I did this. I tried to do the same thing and they were like, who? I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
Yes, because the growth and, it's a small town. And by the way, I'm going back in a month. So I'm super excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Colombia's on my list for sure.
Yes, you gotta go. Oh my God, there's so many beautiful cities out there, especially in the North Coast. Oh, that's where Barranquilla, Santa Marta, like when you mentioned Costa Rica, I'm gonna be at the beach.
Nice.
That's what I'm working so hard. That's why I work hard. And it's always good to have something to look forward to, because then every time whenever I try to get a little like tired or whatever, I'm like, okay, remember, Rosabel, you're going to be in Colombia and like whenever, you're going to be there 12 days, no work, no. Yes. Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
That'll be
yes.
So
well, Trisha, keep us posted. I think the best way to keep posted is go to your website, visit you, see what you're doing, and then hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, you, me, listeners, first of all, follow Trisha, right? Go to her website, then don't forget to subscribe to the Life Unscripted podcast and share it. Share this episode with someone who might need to listen. Maybe, we try to make the episodes not so long where people get, but at least the message is there. So, hey, thank you so much, Trisha. Thank you so much for sharing. I know it's not easy, especially open our hearts out there to the world, but one thing I can tell you from my experience is once you open your heart and you let it out, you feel much better.
Yeah, I agree.
You feel
This
better.
was great. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you very much. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode of Rosabel Unscripted Podcast, here's how you can support our show. Visit www.rosabelzofeld.com to learn more about my work, subscribe to my newsletter, and get updates on upcoming episodes. Head over to my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, and turn on notifications. Your subscription not only motivates me to keep creating, but also helps others discover these conversations. Share this episode with a friend or colleague.
I want to invite you, yes, you listening right now, to check out my book, The Courage to Succeed, A True American Dream. It is available now on Amazon and also Barnes & Noble. This is a story of resilience, grit, and what it really means to chase your dreams, even when the odds are stacked against you. If you ever face fear, failure, or uncertainty, this book will meet you right there and remind you that courage always has a voice. Just search The Courage to Succeed, A True American Dream by Rosabel Unscripted on Amazon, or head to the link in the show notes, because your dream is worth it and your courage can take you there.